On this episode of Cinema Shame, we're celebrating the life and work of Diane Keaton by watching some Diane Keaton movies we really should have seen by now. Hopefully we'll inspire you to push play on a movie you've been putting off for a few decades too. If you're a Diane Keaton fan already, go ahead and subscribe to Cinema Shame so you make sure you don't miss any future episodes where Allan fangirls over one of his great on-screen crushes. If you're feeling saucy, consider leaving us a glowing 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Pause here for reflection. And now here's Allan to launch the Diane Keatdown.
Hi, and welcome to Cinema Shame. I'm Allan as always, and with me as always is James. We're doing a sort of belated tribute episode to Diane Keaton because as soon as we found out we passed away, I was like, oh, we have to do an episode on her because she is probably one of my favorite performers in film history. Although, in doing this episode, one of the things I learned was that I pretty much had watched every Diane Keaton movie I had wanted to see, so the ones that were left over were not necessarily ones that made me go like, oh, I regret having missed that one.
And apologies to Robert Redford, who also passed away in this recent time period. But we were too busy to get our asses together to do a Robert Redford. We could do a
belated episode. Robert Redford. And just between the two of them.
Here it is. Watch the Hot Rock. There's your episode.
But between the two of them, Diane Keaton is definitely the one who hit me the harder of the two. And actually, it was... and how important she was to me. I was talking with friends like the weekend after the news had come, and I was talking about, and it's sort of the realization I had is like a long time I was one of those knee-jerk Woody Allen defenders. Like every time anybody said anything negative about him, I would like, but, and I realized I never really cared about Woody Allen. I was always defending Diane Keaton and her participation in his movies. And so when people were saying negative things about him, it felt like they were saying negative things about her in association. And I was just like, I'm not ready to give up on those movies because of those performances of hers that I like so much. It's not so much that I have any attachment to him as a writer, director, or actor. It's really my feelings about Diane Keaton. And she's like, and this is something like I've like, cause I was an early, like, I think I was watching like Sleeper and Annie Hall and Love and Death like when I was 11 or 12. And the reason why I watched them over and over again was like they're very funny movies, but it was because I had a huge crush on Diane Keaton. And I think that's why like what eventually I was able to like quell that feeling of having to defend a certain filmmaker every time like things like negative things were said about him, even though like I knew enough about him that like even before any of like the things that people like dismiss him now for, I knew he was a jerk way before those came out. Like this was a guy who, when he found out, you know, his wife was sexually assaulted, he turned it into a joke that he put into his stand-up act. Like he was never a really good dude. So, but on the main hand, like the one thing that I, you know, positive that could be said about him was that Diane Keaton liked him.
Oh, well, la-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
It's hard for me to describe what it is exactly that I was so attracted to. I think, like, I mean, physically, I think she was just someone who was, like, I always think there's this movie called The Girl in the Cafe that was written and directed by Richard Curtis. And there's a line in it that I never forget because they're talking about the difference between pretty and beautiful. And the thing is, like, pretty fades with age, beauty's in the bones and stays there forever. And I think that was like the case with Diane Keaton. Like there was never a period in her career where you suddenly go like, oh, she doesn't have the looks to be a movie star anymore. She from like her first film to her last, she always looked like a movie star.
Some of that's her style too, because she evolved with the time and remained an icon for many people throughout her entire career. There's never a point where Diane Keaton felt dated.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also because she had her own specific style. She was never attached to a trend. She right from the beginning, like you could say the only trend she was attached to was the Annie Hall trend, and that's because she started it. And when other people gave up on it, she didn't give up on it. She always dressed like who she was. She always acted like who she was. And I think also part of the thing is someone who has a fairly young age decided that I would never get married. That having this incredibly beautiful, talented, hilarious celebrity also make the same choice, who basically decided I'm never going to get, I'm never going to do that. Also really made me feel attached to her in a way that, say I'm not to someone like Faye Dunaway, who was a contemporary in the 70s.
No more hangers!
But yeah, it is curious that we launched into Woody Allen unprovoked already.
Well, because I feel like she is such
well, they are inseparable in a way.
Well, and also I feel the same way about them that I feel about Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder, and that's they were always at their best when they were working together, and that's sort of you can see after Gene Wilder and Mel Brooks stopped working together, both of their movies started getting worse.
Speaking of which, I just watched Hanky Panky for the first time.
Which we can blame that one on Sidney Poitier more than anything else, but I feel the same way about Diane Keaton and Woody Allen. Once he started working with Mia Farrow, I think his movies just lost a bit of luster. And you're going to talk about the movie where he and the two where Keaton and Allen reunited, and I for me that was a real pick-me-up compared to some of the other movies he was making at the time. There was a genuine difference. And I think it's a case where she had brought out the best in him, and he was able to write for her in a way nobody else did. Because I think that was sort of one criticism you can make of sort of the later career Diane Keaton is that they were just sort of focused on the fact that, she was this cute senior citizen. And they really didn't exploit the fact that she really was one of the best comedians in the history of the genre.
You're from Southern California, right?
Oh, yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah, and... but did you move to New York early on?
I moved to New York.
All right.
Yeah, I did.
And I think it's safe to say that we're going to go in order of our least favorite to perhaps we can do it to our most favorite, but I'm quite certain that we're going to be leading with the worst movie we watched for this episode. So that gives you something to look forward to when we gradually up the stakes from what has to be one of the worst movies I've seen this year.
Yeah. Probably, I probably would rank it as the second worst movie that we did as a shared shame on this show. I still think Tiptoes is worse, but this one...
allow us to introduce you to Town and Country from 2001.
Porter Stoddard had it all. A great job.
It relates to the city. The city's, it sticks out. It's curvy. It's good. It's what?
Great friends.
That in your last 25 years you haven't once ever, No. Not once? No. Ever? No. Have you thought about it?
Several times.
Great family.
Dad, did you see Holly's stress?
You ever worry about swallowing it?
Yeah, I did twice, but I got it back.
How did it,
But then Porter's world turned upside down.
How could you let this happen to me? You know every move that Griffin makes.
Are you having an affair?
Oh, no. No. Yes?
Yeah, this is one of the most infamous flops in the history of cinema. So, I'm always, much more curious about those than I should be. So that it really did feel like a cinema shame. So that's why I suggested it to James, that we should both watch it and sort of, because neither of us has seen it, and try and see, like, is it as bad as its reputation suggests? Is it the colossal clusterfuck that it was always rumored to be? And it turns out the answer is very much yes. It is. Yes. It is very much that bad.
Yes, and it's funny too, because when you're presented with the task of watching one of these bombs, any movie that has the stigma, the stink on it, I tend to be rather forgiving.
100%.
I give these movies so much leeway to impress me in any way. Just give me something.
For the record, like on one of our shame downs, I gave pretty much a positive review to Geely. Like, I didn't think it was nearly as bad as people said.
So when we say, like, when we went on a rampage with Tiptoes, we meant it.
Yeah.
And what we're about to say about Town and Country, we mean this too. It's a bad film. Yeah. And not just looking at the $100 million price tag that is on what could have been made for about $15 with nobody actors, and it wouldn't have missed anything.
I read a bit of a write-up yesterday about it, and before Warren Beatty was attached, it was budgeted for $19 million.
That makes sense.
That was how much New Line expected to pay for it. But then once they got him involved, things like ballooned rapidly.
Yeah, and not to spoil the ending of this, but it made $10 million at the box office, which seems generous. Like that's $10 million that came in because of star power alone. You see this cast. And you are going to say, reviews be damned, I am going to go see a movie starring Warren Beatty, Diane Keaton, Goldie Hawn, Gary Shandling, Andy McDowell, Jenna Elfman, Natasha Kinski, and hey, let's throw Charlton Heston in for good measure. And there's this new kid, Josh Hartnett, who shows up. Like, the cast list is just this extraordinary who's who in 2001. Like, up-and-coming actors we didn't know yet, old stars, like, everybody you wanted to see is in this movie. And it is just a problem from the beginning. And this is my biggest problem with it. And I think this covers everything we're going to say after that in some fashion. But there isn't one person in this movie that can anchor it, like, character-wise. Because Beatty, of course, fancies himself the center of the film. It's Warren Beatty. It's his movie.
Yeah.
So you expect him in a movie about adultery to be charming enough, affable enough, gullible enough, so that we have some sort of connection to him. No. He's none of those things. He's a wet blanket who does bad things.
But also, the film is also making pains to make it seem like he's a good guy who just did a bad thing. Yeah.
Right. So, and Diane Keaton's character pays no attention to him. Yeah. They make it abundantly clear that he transgresses in his relationship, his 25-year marriage, whatever. I think it's
25. Yeah.
Because she doesn't pay any attention to him, and that's it. But so you could have a movie about that, but you then have to make Diane Keaton's character also likable. Like, you got to have someone in a romantic comedy that you can root for at some point or another. And when the movie presents you with one option about midway through, and you're like, yeah, the only person I care about in this movie is Gary Shandling, who cheated on Goldie Hawn with a guy in a red wig, and then at the end just screams, I'm gay. That's your anchor.
Do you know who was originally cast in that role?
In the Shandling role? I don't.
It was Gerard Depardieu.
Wow. Wow. Do you know what would have made me like this movie even less?
If Gerard Depardieu is in it. Yeah, that was something I read yesterday, and it kind of blew my mind. He was actually like the only reason why he left the production was because he broke his leg before filming, and so that was one of the things that added to the cost of the movie, was that they had to find a replacement for him, and they found Shandling, who had just been in Love Affair, which was another Beatty flop, and they had to basically rewrite the script because the script was written for a large Frenchman,
a French dude,
and now it had to be rewritten for Gary Shandling.
But can you imagine the charisma and connection between Goldie Hawn and Gerard Depardieu? Like, what kind of chemistry are you dealing with in that relationship? The Gary Shandling Goldie Hawn thing is also not really working, but at least he gets a couple of amusing lines.
Wait, get down. Let me just tell you something. This is not a good time.
Oh, like this is a good time for me. How many times do I have to be seen driving a van?
And some of that is just my affection for Gary Shandling and his ability to deliver a line, which is more than I can say for anyone else in this movie.
Well, I don't think they're giving anything to work with.
No, they're not giving. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. He made something out of nothing, and maybe it's just 2 lines. But like I said, I was searching for something here.
Of the money wasted on this, the most astounding thing is how much all of the writers were paid. Because Buck Henry, who basically came in at the end to rewrite the ending and add a bit of comedy for Shandling, got paid $1 million. He literally bought a house from his Town and Country money. And it's like you watch it and you just I need to figure out a way so I'm in a position that I can get paid that much money to do something so terribly.
Yeah, well, Buck Henry got top billing on this script too after all was said and done. And honestly, if you squint really hard, you can just almost feel like Heaven Can Wait. There's a couple moments where it's I can see that they're struggling to hit that kind of note.
I think that movie was the curse of this movie, because Beatty's notes and script changes were clearly making the movie worse. But because people were going, well, he got an Oscar nomination for Heaven Can Wait with Buck Henry, so clearly he knows what he's doing. We just, for some reason, don't see it. But then it turns out they didn't know what they were doing, and they couldn't fix the movie. It was actually interesting. It was written by Michael Laughlin, who is he was Leslie Caron's ex-husband, and he made some movies with Bill Condon, Strange Behavior. I think it's also known as Dead Kids, which actually is a movie I really like. I was kind of surprised to find out that there was a connection between him and this movie. And I think his original script could be described as basically a Woody Allen ripoff, very much that sort of, set amongst rich New York people, having, affairs and stuff like that. But for once they hired Warren Beatty, I think it became a bigger film, and this isn't a story that deserves that level of money spent on it.
Some of the jokes feel like they're written by old dudes trying to sound young. And that's the problem with a lot of what's going on in this film. The constant observations that they're making about their kids and their romantic interests, they're all very corny and caricature based. There's no real human in this movie.
You feel the vanity projectness of it. And it's funny because Beatty had, they of course offered it to him to direct. And he was like, no, I just want to be an actor on this. And you're like, well, why? You clearly took it over from Peter Chelsom and basically got into physical fights with him over, the direction of the movie. So why didn't you just because we could get in trouble talking about this because he was very litigious when the movie came out, and anyone who suggested that the movie's failure was his fault got a letter from his lawyer. That's how because he would always go every decision they made, I gave them an opportunity to not make that decision. I didn't force anybody to do anything. And it's Warren, really, you're Warren Beatty. Like, the only reason why this movie got made is because you're Warren Beatty. Like, so you literally, like, whatever you said you wanted, you would get, and you knew that. So you can't suddenly go back and say, like, you know, everybody had a choice, like, to not, you know, go forward and not do what I wanted. And it's like, that's not how it works, Warren.
Well, and it took 3 years to make. Is that
because they had a hard cutoff date because several of the actors were going to different projects, but then it turns out they needed to completely reshoot a new ending. And so they basically had to wait a year and a half until everyone was back to reshoot that ending. So yeah, it was shot around like 1998 and didn't come out until like 2001. And you can feel that sort of patchwork quality. Like, that's why, to me, it is a really good comparison to Tiptoes, not just in terms of quality, but the fact that there's clearly, like, this is a movie that has been clearly patched together to try and, like, you know, fix problems. Like, that ending really, like why is Jenna, like, Elfman there? That makes no sense whatsoever.
And it feels like the entire premise of the movie is built around this idea that the guy could have sex with all these women suddenly on a whim and then have them all wind up in the same bathroom at the same time. Yeah. And wow, isn't that cool? And it's so forced, and then the conversation they have is so uninteresting. Like, there's so much you can do in a screwball situation where you have all these women together. Like, you've conceived this idea to bring them together, and then you have mundane conversation about getting the different opinions about getting stain out of Diane Keaton's suit. And if you say, well, that could have been funny. Yeah, I agree. That premise could have been good. There's screwball adjacent scenes throughout the movie, but they're done in such a way that they're just not funny. And on top of all of that, it's a 2001 movie that opens with a shot of the Twin Towers.
A 1998 movie that opens.
Yes, correct. But it came out out earlier in 2001, and you're like, well, there you go. 2001 hits you right in the face.
Yeah, it just and it's one, like, I don't blame the director, Peter Chelsom. I think he did some good work before it and after it. I think it was just a case of him being handed an impossible task. Like, that was the one funny anecdote. Like, and speaking of Diane Keaton, is that apparently, like, she like sat him down at one moment and said, the good news is this is the worst it's ever going to get. So she sort of gave him that sort of like, yes, this is bad, but it will never be worse than this. So
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
Give me one good thing about Town and Country.
Natasha Kinski is really cute.
I agree. The cello tattoo also took me aback a little bit. I'm like, all right, that's kind of kinky. It's just so you don't have to watch the movie. She has the indentations from the cello tattooed on her lower back.
Yeah,
because she is a cellist, and she says that she is married to her cello, and that is the relationship she is currently in. Why she is also cheating on her on her significant other.
But it is funny because in the shot when the shot where she's introduced, like, her body's like, she's definitely like, they're like, her body is a cello, like with the curves and like not just the tattoo, but that is specifically like we're supposed to immediately pick that up.
Yeah, and in that moment, I had some hope for the film. It didn't last longer than it took to go on to the next scene, but there was a moment where I did have optimism.
For me, it was the moment not long after that where there's a short scene where Goldie Hawn like picks up the phone, and it's like an extended scene, and you realize they keep hiding her face with the wig. That's not Goldie Hawn. And it's like, you know a movie was troubled when there's like an extended dialogue scene with a full-on body double doing the main actor's role.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
I think the only natural way to follow this up is with the first of my first-time watches. And this is a movie that I have referenced in some of my own writing as punchlines. Now, it has sort of taken up a specific space in my brain. And because it was so difficult to see for so long, I had only read about it in numerous publications, different articles about its Academy Awards nominations. Like, it has a reputation. So just recently, it came out on a very nice Blu-ray release. I believe it was also in 4K. I don't really. I think it was a 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. So I, of course, was like, yes, now I will finally see Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
If I can't live here by your rules, and I can't, it's time I went. Alone, my place, my money, my rules.
Oh, alone in Mugger's Paradise. Well, that's great. Now we can worry about you day and night.
I can't stay here and be myself.
She's like a lot of girls, alone, cruises the bars alone. It's kind of sad.
Oh, cheer up. I mean, they don't always leave alone.
You've never been in that bar before.
Huh?
Right?
Right.
So why did you want to go?
It makes me feel good.
You didn't know anybody there.
It's better that way, you know? I mean, you drink and you dance, none of that awful small talk.
I was sort of led astray by my expectations for this film. It's not an easy film to talk about because it's so wrapped up in a bunch of different ideas. And that's a lot of this movie is about a concept and what you can do with cinema in this moment in time. This came out the same year as Saturday Night Fever, and I think there's a very strong connection between the two. And they're exploring something about this sexual freedom that's happening. One from the male disco perspective, the disco god perspective, and another from this young woman who is completing her degree for teaching deaf children and learning sign language, and this is her day job. But she's also exploring the boundaries of her sexual liberation by night. She's like some really bizarre superhero. And in the beginning, you're like, okay, I see what this movie wants to do. We're going through the Madonna horror complex from inside out, because there's this clear delineation about how men expect women to act and how men expect women to be around them. And this is framed by all of her different affairs that she's experiencing. And I think there's at a certain point, there's too many to count. There's a few main ones. William Atherton, Richard Gere appears in a very early role as the quintessential Richard Gere Mimbo. I mean, he is like kinetic, acts like a 12-year-old. But these men that she keeps falling into, I mean, she's pushing back against her family. She's seeing how her sisters are treated and the mistakes they're making. And with every single mistake, she doubles down and goes deeper into this sort of scuzzy underbelly of drugs and drinking and sexual encounters. So there's a certain way to read this in that, like I said, you're looking at the Madonna horror complex because she's taking care of these kids. She has really strong relationships with the kids that she's teaching. They're young, school. I guess you said they're fourth grade. They're young. Point is, and she legitimately cares. She's working on getting this young black girl to talk. She hasn't talked before, or she's afraid to talk, and pushing back against the expectations of her family, who just kind of think she's like kind of wasted space. So the brother comes in and, young LeVar Burton. Hey, LeVar Burton, it's nice to see you in this movie. And so on one hand, there's this side of her that is really strong and knows what she wants, and this other side, the sexual awakening, turns really grotesque and hard to watch throughout a lot of the film, and you come back and forth between the ugliness of the family relationship with her father and her sisters, and you keep wanting something good to happen for her, but she is so self-destructive that would be totally out of the character of the film, and there's nowhere for her to go. And that's interesting for so long. You can only watch someone self-destruct for so long, and this movie runs for 136 minutes with a little levity, and at one point she gets fired from her job because she got turned in for having cocaine and was arrested, and the school says that's no good, we don't need this kind of problem. So she loses her job and then increases her sexual predation and is ultimately punished. And it's one of the most striking scenes and like disturbing scenes that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of disturbing scenes in the 70s. And it is a massive punctuation, not totally atonal to where the film has gone, because nothing good can come from this. But the punctuation mark is as much a punishment. It feels like a morality tale. So we're giving audience to the sexual liberation of women and the exploration of sexuality, and then she's ultimately punished for it. So that feels like a muddied message to me.
It is interesting you bringing up the connection to Saturday Night Fever, because that was famously based on a magazine article that turned out to be total bullshit, and Looking for Mr. Goodbar was based on a nonfiction true crime novel that turned out to be mostly bullshit. And so it is like funny, like how I think in both cases, like sort of the writers originally and then the filmmakers later on were taking these ideas and just twisting them for their own purposes. And I feel like they probably, with Looking for Mr. Goodbar, it's Richard Brooks, right? Like, did he write and direct it or just direct it?
Let's see. I wrote down. I think he wrote.
I feel like he's like definitely someone who would, want to make a statement with a film like this and like have it mean something. But like you said, like if it's just going to be, being a promiscuous woman is bad, and it's going to get you killed. Like, I don't like even, I don't think there's any time where, we really needed that. If anything, in the 70s, we kind of needed the opposite of sort of saying like, hey, unshackle yourself from like, we needed Barbarella more than we needed Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Well, and it's kind of, you can read it a different way, but the way the final scene is filmed, it is punishment. Like, I couldn't take it another way. And the more I sit with it, the more I'm like, okay, I could see this particular reading. But it is so violent and so abusive at the end. And I said, I don't see another way to take it. Now, there's many interesting things within the film talking about some of the actors that come into this, like seeing William Atherton he begins as a stable, like serious love interest. And once he is scorned, he turns something like kind of snaps in his mind, and he becomes a stalker. Richard Gere starts as just this innocent mimbo who comes over, has a good time, and then like disappears from her life. But then again, when he returns and comes back into her life, he even though he's disappeared without word for a long period of time, he all automatically believes he still owns her, even though they've never done more than share a bed a couple times. And that becomes dark and creepy because he starts stalking her, and he comes and abuses her. So there's this cycle of abuse, and even the scenes at home with her family, and one of the character traits for Diane Keaton's character is that she's had childhood surgery for scoliosis. So the scar plays a major role in the film. And what's danced around for a large portion of the film is that her father's sister also had scoliosis and committed suicide because the father keeps saying how beautiful and perfect the boys were. The men were all perfect, Polish, Irish, cat, whatever they were. And his sister is always glossed out. So, and every time Diane Keaton reminds her, they know you had a sister, and he grumbles and walks away. So there's this ugliness to the film. Inside of the house, outside the house, and there's not enough redemption. And I don't need a lot. And I don't even need her to survive the film. But I do need to feel like it's not Pandora's box. Like the sexual, I don't need to be told that the women's sexual liberation is the worst thing that ever happened to them, because they can't handle it. Like, they have all this potential and they go after every man. And like, yes, it's just a one isolated story, but that's what we're given. That's the story we're told.
Well, I think that's the most famous thing about it. Is like, the only thing I know about the movie is that she dies at the end. Like, that's literally the only thing I know about it.
Well, she dies at the end. She's trying to avoid William Atherton's character, who's still kind of stalking her and haunting her. So in order to get him off her back, she goes and sidles up to a fella playing pinball, who is a repressed homosexual. We just had a really weird Day of the Locust scene prior to that seems totally out of place, where Tom Berenger is outed. He's supposed to be with his lover, and refuses to acknowledge him because he's not gay. I'm not gay. So he goes into the bar, and that's when Diane Keaton shows up and is like using him to avoid William Atherton, and she takes him home, and he can't perform. So he's making all sorts of excuses and is angry and filled with rage, and just starts beating her, and then picks up a knife and holds it for a long while we sit there and wait for it to happen. And then he stabs her repeatedly, almost 6, 7, 8 times. And it's set to a strobe because of one of the lights in her apartment. So, I mean, it's a lot. So we've got this punctuation of the women's sexuality, but we've also got this repressed homosexual who's now murdering our protagonist. It's messy. It's messy for 2025. It's not easy to watch, even though a lot of skill went into making this film. It's got a very distinct look.
A great soundtrack.
And it's, I mean, there's a lot to like about Looking for Mr. Goodbar. I just think that it's got too many issues for me to be a great film, and it's going to have to settle for just being really interesting.
I mean, that's something.
Oh, face it, Allan. You may be very sweet, but you're not sexy. You're awkward. You're clumsy. I can see how desperate you are. You can't stand the marriage. I don't find you any fun. I feel you suffocate me. I don't feel any rapport with you, and I don't think you physically. Oh, for God's sake, Allan, don't take it personal. Goodbye, Allan. My lawyer will call your lawyer.
I don't have a lawyer. Have him call my doctor.
Moving on, the one I'm next going to be talking about is actually the first time she and Woody Allen worked together on screen, which wasn't in a Woody Allen movie. It was in a Herbert Ross movie called Play It Again, Sam, which was based on a stage play that they starred in together on Broadway. And I think that's the main flaw of the movie for me, is that it very much feels like a stage play that's been filmed, and not even like, I think Ross does as much as he can to open it up, but when you have actors who have performed the same scenes literally hundreds of times, those performances can become calcified. And so I found watching this, it had sort of what I call Neil Simon syndrome, where you you hear the setup, you hear the punchline, and then you in your mind you're waiting for the audience to laugh, but you're the audience. You're not in like a Broadway theater where, you know, the lines are written specifically like sort of sitcom writing where you have to pause in between the lines because, you know, those were like to wait for the laughs to die down. But when you do that in a movie, like it just makes it feel awkward and forced. And especially like when the punchlines as written by Allan for this, like they just feel like more like Broadway stage comedy jokes than film jokes, which I think are different kinds of jokes. I think that's sort of the issue why a lot of Neil Simon movies don't adapt very well, is because like there is a difference between a movie joke and like a joke that is supposed to play in front of a live audience. And I think that was my major issue with the movie. That and the fact that like my main like sort of epiphany watching this is as someone who like spent a lot of time really watching a lot of Woody Allen movies and reading his books and like listening to, you know, his stand-up stuff, is that like I finally came to the conclusion like that I don't like Woody Allen. And I especially don't like him in this. Like he's playing like a 29-year-old movie critic whose wife has just left him, and so his friends, played by Diane Keaton, and who's the guy who's in all of the Woody Allen movies, who plays his friend in all of them? Tony Roberts. So they like Tony Roberts is like this rich like investor type businessman dude who's married to Diane Keaton, who's a model, and they're best friends with Woody, which doesn't really like that part of it doesn't make sense. Like I never understood why Tony Roberts' character is friends with Woody Allen's character, whose name, and that's another issue. Like any movie where the main character has my first name is always going to be weird to me watching, because people keep saying my name and they're not talking to me. And they keep trying to put Allan up on dates, and he's obsessed with Bogart, especially the last scene in Casablanca, and that's why it's called "Play It Again, Sam." And I think part of the issue I had with his character was that he seemed to be enthralled with what I would consider to be one like a Bogart that doesn't exist in the Bogart movies, like the Bogart, like, because the sort of the conceit of this and the conceit of the play is that he imagines Bogart as a real person, so he'll have like interactions with him where they have talks and like that, and it's not Bogart that he's actually talking to, it's Bogart playing like sort of a Sam Spade type character. Like not even Rick, but like this Bogart is a misogynist who talks about hitting women and, you know, just and getting drunk and stuff like that. It's like that wasn't Bogart. Like Bogart, that wasn't who he was. That wasn't even a character he played. Sam Spade didn't act like that. Like there may have been a couple of roles where he played like that, but that wasn't like his mystique. And it's like, makes you wonder, like, did Woody Allen ever watch any Bogart movies? Or is he doing this, like, whole thing just on on an idea that he doesn't fully understand? Like, and I think that was a big, and the fact that his character, like, this is a movie where at one point there's a scene with him and Diane Keaton where, like, Woody Allen is talking about like how like some people suggest that, you know, all women secretly fantasize about being raped. And I think that's something like when, like, you know, in the 80s watching it, like that might have just flown over your head. But now watching it like today, it's sort of like who says that? Like who talks like that? Who actually believes stuff like that? And it's like, is it
Republicans?
Yeah, Republicans. But this is like 1972, and these are supposedly like New York sophisticates. And it really just like makes you realize like how well, I think like this, as we're recording this, a bunch of emails are coming out that are sort of exposing like just how almost depressingly normal like all of these incredibly wealthy and influential and powerful men are. Like how like they can barely spell, they can barely write, and the things they say are just so incredibly stupid. And it makes you like think about like how like Like they always talk about like how we want to live in a meritocracy. It's like, no, you don't, because in a meritocracy, you guys would be on the bottom.
Well, that's the same. I mean, that's the tip of it. And like the AI, I mean, AI is a tool for idiots and people who aren't creative on their own. Like these are not people who are intrinsically talented who are going to pretend without any justification. I mean, that's what all this is about. These are small people acting important, acting big.
But I will say about, like, in defense of Allan, I think he never really shines in movies where he's just an actor and he's being directed by someone else. I think he really only, like, he's the only director who understands how to, you know, get a good performance out of Woody Allen.
I have met a lot of dames, but you are really something special.
Really?
She bought it.
So related thought. I watched What's New, Pussycat for the first time for our upcoming 1965, and the majority of that film is so confused about what to do with him. The majority of the film is largely confused, period. But specifically with regards to the Woody Allen character on screen, one of the most interesting, fascinating scenes I've seen in recent years, just watching all of the movies that I do, is the scene between Peter Sellers and Woody Allen, because there's something inherently uncomfortable about them on screen together that adds an extra layer of just utter fascination for me when I was watching, because and part of that is because like you said, there's no real way to put Woody Allen into a scenario that's not of his own creation. Because there's a rhythm to the dialogue, there's a rhythm to the conversation, even the cutting of the film, in order to make him palatable. I mean, that's I think what we're really talking about here is that when he's playing outside of his own material, he becomes grating and very annoying, with maybe a couple exceptions. But in this case, Peter Sellers just kind of takes it over. And when that happens, Allan has to kind of recede. He has to cede ground because there's no other way to play a scene with Peter Sellers. And that's a way that it can work. But when you're leaving Woody Allen as the strongest personality, that's when I think our disconnect as viewers happens. Because there's nothing inherently likable about a Woody Allen character.
Well, and I think that's why Diane Keaton was so important to his movies, because like I said before,
she humanized
him. Like the fact that she liked him made, like, there must be something likable there. And I think that works a lot better in the movies he directed. Like here in Play It Again, Sam, like the best scene together is the finals, where basically they're doing the pastiche of the last scene in Casablanca, because the idea is like they've eventually had an affair, and he's since learned just how important she is to Tony Roberts. So he's doing the sacrifice of giving up on this woman that he loves so she can go back to her husband. And it's sort of like, but I think it only works because of her, and because he's trying to do like a Bogart impression at the same time, and it really shows, like, that's why he didn't do a lot of like character shtick in his movies. Like after this, he pretty much just played himself.
And some of the best Woody Allen bits are ones where he's created a fantasy world for himself. I talked about Love and Death on another podcast, and that's the same idea, is that he has a playground for that manic energy that really suits him, which is why I gravitate towards those earlier comedies that he directed, because I think that's the right arena. That's not this. I really like Manhattan. There's a number of Woody Allen films that I am a really big fan of. But when he hits off, it's it's tough to watch.
But that's still like Manhattan is still him and Diane Keaton. That's still when they were working together.
Right.
Like I think you said you tried to watch Interiors but just couldn't get into it, and I've never even tried because I have zero interest in serious Woody Allen. Like I don't him pretending to be Ingmar Bergman is literally like, unless it's doing as a parody in Love and Death, I really have zero interest in it.
Yeah. It's a movie that I will go back to. I put it on and I just wasn't in the right headspace. And sometimes you can't force it, because I want to give the movie an opportunity. If I'm not really feeling it, it's like I just need to not right now, and maybe I definitely will come back to it. It's a movie that I've been it's one of the few Woody Allens that I haven't seen at this point. And I think what you said is maybe the barrier. Like it's always kind of been billed as Woody Allen does Ingmar Bergman, and that's not a flavor that I'm really like jonesing to have. But the movie itself seems like something I could get into in the right headspace. Now, I was thinking about the Bogart, going back to that for a second. I'm trying to think, because there was for a long time this conflation of Bogart with the Sam Spade, with some like Marlowe, these other detectives, and seeing as how we did the 70s, we didn't 60s, 70s, maybe we didn't have access to the movies quite as readily to be able to really create a difference between these characters, and they're not just all the same hard-boiled detective. So it sort of makes sense in that way that Allan also conflated all of these noir detectives from the novels and the films, because Bogart was the figurehead for that after the big sleep. And that makes sense. And if we're playing it up as like this is the way it's understood, like Bogart is understood for the general population, like I can see that, accuracy or not, like this is just kind of the way it's going to work, and you get the joke, and I get the joke, and that's all fine. But we look at it now, and I felt the same way. I was annoyed that I was told this is Bogart.
Yeah. Well, I think
definitely was.
I think it might not have been an issue if we saw a sequence of him watching a bunch of Bogart movies, but it's specifically Casablanca, and like the character that is written and played against Sam is not Rick from Casablanca. Like Rick from Casablanca is basically he is a sentimentalist who has a very cynical like shell, but ultimately when pushed is a good guy, is like a decent human being.
He has a very distinct
moral code,
positive moral code.
But also like I think it's because like my favorite Bogart performance isn't even Casablanca. It's The African Queen, where he plays one of the biggest sweethearts in like cinema history. Like he won his Oscar playing like a nice guy. He didn't win it playing like a tough guy. Like I think that's some like maybe that's colors my appreciation of Bogart, is like people forget that his most like praised performance, at least critically, was as playing this really sweet dude.
My favorite Bogart performance is In a Lonely Place. So that's
probably the one where people can go, he's playing a bad guy in that one. He's
Listen, why don't you come in for a second and have a drink with us?
Oh! Couldn't you keep the conversation going a little longer in there? This guy showed me his stamp collection one more time.
They're looking forward to their anniversary.
She had a heart attack. She's dead.
Never once mentioned that she had a heart condition.
Maybe this guy killed her, Like he's got like a young Tootsie stash.
No. This guy gets his jollies from licking the back of postage stamps.
Hi, I thought I'd bring you some chocolate mousse. I know how much you enjoyed the last dessert. I was looking in his cupboards and I came across this urn.
Ashes, funeral ashes? Did you wash your hands?
Only, he says, he had his wife buried.
That's what you do do if you don't want an autopsy.
What do you mean you snuck into his apartment? Are you nuts?
Stop being such a funny dad.
What has gotten into you lately, for crying out loud? Save a little craziness for menopause.
I took this opportunity to finally watch Manhattan Murder Mystery. I have no idea why I never watched it. It seems like something that I would have always enjoyed, and I've had the movie on my shelf for really about as long as I can remember in different forms. I'm pretty sure I had the DVD, didn't watch it, and then I got the Blu-ray when it came out. Didn't watch it. So here we go.
I saw it in the theater.
Because you're a Diane Keaton
Yes,
fan.
because I wanted to see the Diane Keaton and Woody Allen reunion movie.
Yeah. What I really like about Manhattan Murder Mystery is this is Diane Keaton's movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Woody Allen has relegated himself to a supporting role and gives Diane Keaton the best scenes, the best energy, the best lines. He's not taking up the oxygen in this one. And it's really just getting to watch sort of a proto Murders in the Building scenario with Diane Keaton and Alan Alda.
Yeah.
And later Angelica Houston comes in and she's fantastic. I always love her, but in this movie it's like that's exactly what I want Angelica Houston to do, to be this very uptight, erudite author who is just, this is how you kill someone and this is how you get rid of the body. And of course that's what happened.
Yeah. You have all these skills and you're beautiful and you can write so well, and now it turns out you play poker. This is too good
I wouldn't
to be
say
true.
beautiful.
Oh, I would.
But I do have tremendous sex appeal.
Now we're talking about a very different comedic team, and that's Charles Shire and Nancy Myers, who made the Father of the Bride movies, talking about Diane Keaton, but they started that relationship with Baby Boom.
I need the P&Ls on Atlantic Overseas. I also need the latest ZBBs and PBBs. And Robin, I want you to get me the CEO of IBC ASAP. Not really great with living things.
I think you are. Gonna make love?
Are you telling me that I inherited a baby from a cousin I hadn't seen since 1954?
Your baby just barked all over my boss.
This is not my baby. I went to Yale and Harvard. I don't have children.
I thought I was going to like it more than I ultimately did, but I think the thing that I call it sort of like the working girl problem, which is that it's an 80s movie that expects us to buy into like sort of the tenets of corporate life a bit too much. It basically shows how Diane Keaton is essentially punished for being a woman in corporate America, but it ultimately concludes that she should just get out of corporate America and do her own thing instead of corporate America changing to accommodate women like her. And I think that was sort of the thing that sort of it didn't quite work for me, is that like why is it, why are we just assuming that what these like asshole businessmen are saying is correct? Why can't the movie just call them out and say like, no, that sexist bullshit? And like I guess in the end it kind of tries to do it, but it feels so half-hearted. Like there's no real moment where you get the sense that the male executives are full of shit. And I think it really needed that. Like it really needed to show them like that, she is sort of their superior. She does know exactly what they're doing, but then she gets punished for essentially choosing motherhood at the same time as her career. Because the whole plot of the movie is that she's this extremely successful, wealthy, high-powered business executive whose cousin in England, who she barely knew, passes away, and in his will she's named, because she's his only surviving relative, names him as the guardian of his daughter, who's like around a year old or so. I can't remember how old, but she's still a baby, and so it's sort of like this it's like like one woman, one executive, and a little lady sort of like situation where it's sort of like idea is like, the joke is that someone so transparently unsuited for parenthood is suddenly forced to become a parent. And it even has like one of my pet peeves, which is like the whole point of the genre, is the scene where where the character struggles to put a diaper on a baby, as if it's the most incredibly difficult thing in the world. And like, I can't say I have a...
Didn't 3 Men and a Baby also came out this same year?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. And both, like, they both have that scene. And like, my niece, when she was a baby, I babysat for her. I changed her diaper. I haven't done it again, and I haven't done it since. But it was really easy then, and I'm sure I could still do it just as easily now. So I don't like. I felt like there was almost like an element of this idea that we like to see people like on a pedestal get knocked off it. So there is an element of like, oh, sure, she can, negotiate a business deal and, be a high-powered executive, but she can't change a diaper.
Well, this is 1987. Yeah. There's absolutely no way there's enough hours in the day to be successful in business and learn how to change diapers. There's no time.
Yeah.
I'm too busy being fucking successful.
Yeah. And you apparently have never had a life where you, like, were in a room with a baby before, which, I mean, I suppose there are people who can be said that.
Because of business. You're always doing the business.
She had to have a childhood before the business.
No, she was born into the business.
But
1987, also the year of Secret of My Success. Yeah. No diaper changing in Secret of My Success.
Although with Helen Slater, that would have been a really interesting scene.
Oh, don't tease me.
So like it ended up being a fun movie. I did like late in the movie it goes like, oh my god, we're almost like, we only got like 35 minutes left, so we need like a romantic part. So they introduced Sam Shepard as a veterinarian, and my take was like, I don't know why Sam, like, I guess it might have been his choice or that, but like, he is so Gary Cooper that it sort of makes you wonder why he didn't have a much bigger career as sort of a leading man in these kinds of movies.
I saw this movie, so I don't know. I was old enough to know Sam Shepard really well, so probably in what would have been my late teens was when I was like, Sam Shepard is the greatest ever. I started reading Sam Shepard and like Sam Shepard films, and around the same time I saw Baby Boom, and it was like my brain snapped when Sam Shepard comes into the film. Because that's not where he belongs in my head.
Yeah.
Like, he's not doing this role. What are you doing exactly here? But now that I'm older and wiser and taking his full career, like having seen more of what he's done, it makes perfect sense that Sam Shepard would just be here. But at the time, it broke my fragile little brain. And that's really what I remember most about Baby Boom.
Well, it's almost like I would almost argue there's no actor from, like, as this role is written, like, if they didn't get Sam Shepard, they were fucked. They would have to basically rewrite the character. Because the only person who had that sort of, like, same sort of energy at that time was Kevin Costner, and he still would have been, like, what is his early 30s?
Oh, he's baby Costner.
Yeah, he would have been like Fandango Costner, which is too young.
This is Bull Durham. This is like a year before Bull Durham Costner, so he's not quite yet retired.
Yeah. So but Keaton, she's good in it. Like there is like, they give her a quirk that I really identified with, is that whenever she's nervous, her leg bounces up and down, and my leg does the same thing. Like, people are always like looking at me for like knocking the table around because my leg is bouncing. So like that was like a case where, like, I don't think I've ever seen a character have that specific quirk, even though it is, I feel like it's very common. Like, I know for specifically that I have it. So I like the fact that they gave her that really humanizing sort of quirk. I do think they make it a bit too easy, because the sort of the idea is that she buys this house in a rural area, and for a moment there, it feels like it's going to become what's the Chevy Chase movie? Funny Farm.
Funny Farm.
Like it almost feels like it's going to have that same sort of thing where like that turns out like that the nice farmhouse is a disaster where everything is broken and needs to be fixed. She literally runs out of water. Her well runs dry, and so her solution out of this, because she's gotten to the point where she's too poor to move back to New York, but can't sell the house because like it was on the market for 2 years when she bought it because it was that much of a disaster. And so she figures out she starts her own business, which is selling baby food. And it's one of those things where it feels like, yes, we've been previously told like she's an expert businesswoman, but like the rise of her baby food company to the point where her old company like is going to hire her, like buy her company and hire her back for like $2 million a year. And she's not like that. It's like, yeah, I don't buy it, movie. I don't like you just, it's too much of a stretch.
It's kind of Nancy Meyers' thing, though.
Yeah,
like,
but I think she's done it better in other movies. I think Nancy Meyers. I actually think it's like it's almost the opposite of Keaton and Allan. Is that Charles Shire and Nancy Meyer both got better once they stopped working together.
Yeah, just there's sort of an element to most of the Nancy Meyers movies that there's this hyper reality or like sort of a disconnect, and sometimes it bothers me more than others. Like Father of the Bride is one where I think it works, but then like What Women Want is a travesty, and I don't think it's that far much further removed from this like reality that we've sort of created this schism for, which is sort of, I mean, some of it's chalked up. You can say like, oh, it's just Hollywood movie making. No, Nancy Meyers' writing style has this elevated way of making these characters less than real, and Baby Boom feels that way to me. Private Benjamin feels that way to me. Something's Gotta Give feels that way to me.
That's one I will defend. I really, that's 90% Diane Keaton. Like I think that's one of her best performances.
I like it.
That's one of her best late career performances. Is Something's Gotta Give, and like I remember even at the time just liking the fact that like I think she would have been in her 60s at the time, and they're pairing her off with Keanu Reeves. Which like even today you wouldn't expect to see that.
Wait, there's really interesting things going on in that movie that I may not have given it credit for at the time. I know I saw that in the theater reluctantly, but I've come to like that film more, and I like happen across it. And I'm like, I'll leave it on. Something's Gotta Give.
Okay, but in terms of us, I mean, you just want us to be friends, right?
Honestly? No.
So, what do you want to be?
I think I'd embarrass you if I told you.
I was embarrassed just getting dressed to see you.
So I just realized that we when we did our Gene Hackman one, we both did a top 5 favorite performances, but I think probably if we were to do that for this, we would just start naming like our favorite Woody Allen movies.
It does kind of feel that way. We can do an off the cuff. I'm not opposed to just throwing shit out there and seeing if it sticks.
Because like Annie Hall is her definitive performance for a reason. Like I feel like if you don't watch that movie and fall in love with her, then we probably will have issues at being friends. Like I think there is just something so iconically charming about her in that performance, and the fact that she doesn't make her totally likable. Like she isn't like sort of a manic pixie dream girl. Like there is like an element of like drama to her that would you could see why they would break up. Like you understand why that relationship didn't work, but at the same time it's sort of like, why can't I meet an Annie Hall either? Because I would like and this is how far in I got, is that when I was in high school I got the opportunity to pursue a scholarship for theater school, and I for my monologue I did Woody Allen's opening monologue from Annie Hall, where he talks about the joke about the complaining about the portion sizes, and so like that was the level of like how in bed I was with this movie and those characters, and I think part of the reason why my life is the way it is now is just this kind of desire to be like, I never got the chance to live in New York, but I'm still trying to live like a New Yorker.
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
It's hard, like, looking at the list and it's like, okay, so it's going to be this Woody Allen movie. Well, we could eliminate Woody Allen movies.
Yeah.
Because mine would include, it'd be Annie Hall, Manhattan.
Love and Death. I like Sleeper because I think that's the rare time where she got to play like sort of like the Carol Lombard part, where she's like kind of ditzy and like not very intelligent and like literally is just a pretty face, but she turns that into comedy gold, like, because usually her characters are more sophisticated.
Yeah, that's definitely more of a comedian role rather than a funny actress. She gets to do more in that film, so it's a little bit of an outlier in her filmography. So if we move those obvious ones, I'm going to Morning Glory, Reds.
That I almost watched that one, but I just saw the running time. It's like, sorry people, I can't do it.
Oh, saddle up, but it's worth it. I really like Reds. Reds is really solid, and then Godfather.
Yeah.
Just in general. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to pick one because she's never a focus. I think some of her best moments might be in 3.
Mm-hmm. I do really like First Wives Club. Like, I think it's become a bit of a punchline.
She's great. She's great in that.
But honestly, like, it may sound like we're, being dismissive of like her other work, but I mean, most actors don't have the kind of career she did where basically she was a star from like her first movie she appeared in to the end of her career. Like there wasn't like, you could see like maybe there may have been a couple of years where she made a couple of TV movies, but you also get the sense that like she was doing that by choice just because like she was a single mom raising 2 kids. And so that, changed how, and also she pursued directing for a while. So like, I think it really is like the fact that she had like her career at the level she did for as long as she did really like speaks to like her power on screen.
And I mean, for the last 20 years or so, she's been doing light romantic comedies. Yeah. But even that is pretty remarkable. Yeah. What other actresses have been given or taken the opportunity to work in as much as she did into like ages where actresses are totally disappearing from the face of the earth because they don't have that longevity, or but she persisted, and she had we were talking about the iconography of Diane Keaton, but she had an affable presence, and she was always welcome on screen no matter the quality of the film. And in terms of movies that women always would consider seeing, if it had Diane Keaton in it, it was automatically an attraction.
Well, you like you said the word affable, and I just flashed on like when the news came out of her death, people were posting on social media like different reactions, and I saw one by this female wrestler that I follow, where she told her boyfriend, who's another wrestler, and he was like, "Oh, who's that?" Like he didn't remember, and then she like showed him a picture. I was like, "Oh, she was always so cute." And I think like that, I think that's like probably like I think she was like gorgeous and beautiful, but I think like if there's any one word that sums her up, it's cute. Like there was never like, from like her first role to her last role, she was always this incredibly cute presence on screen. And I think like that just built up a lot of affection for her. So even if like some of her later movies like were that great quality wise, like you were just happy to spend time with Diane Keaton for 90 minutes.
You see, I always think of you as the
Annie Hall, I heard you.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I can't help
But how have I failed? I mean,
You haven't- you haven't
still
failed.
think I'm like Annie Hall?
well,
What have I changed?
No. You
Dave?
you are Annie Hall.
You think?
I mean, who else could have played that part?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it for an actor? Is it a good thing to have, like Paul said, an iconic role?
It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I would think
No,
so.
not a bad thing.
Do you ever watch the movie?
No, I don't watch it, no.
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la.
And that's it for the Diane Keaton episode of the Cinema Shame podcast. Tune into the next Cinema Shame episode to hear James say, I don't know what it is about 1965, but 1965 really hated women.
Had hit the hood of C-Eastwood, that well-known meanie who like Bellini thought absurd. Soderbergh's claim that famous Harold Ramis was the greatest director in the history of cinema.
You have chosen wise.